Hey y'all, and welcome to The Cutest Little Thing. My name is Andrea, and I'm so glad to have you here today. I'm from southeastern North Carolina, and I love all things vintage, thrifted, upcycled, and DIY'd, and you will find all of those things here on my channel. I also have 2 vendor booths in my local small town where I sell my crafts and decor pieces. I'm so excited for today's project, so let's go ahead and get started. This project starts with some muslin fabric. I get my fabric off of Amazon. It comes in a bundle pack. And then I have these beautiful digital deco design images here. These are little seed packets. And I am an affiliate for Digital Deco Designs, and you can shop with my link. I will leave that in the description of this video. You can purchase images mailed to you printed on rice paper, or you can also just purchase the instant downloads and print them at home on your own printer. I just take my paintbrush and dip it in water and run it around my image where I want to tear that, and that just helps me tear that a little bit easier. And if you have a water pen, you could use that as well. I just find that I like using the little paint brushes just as good. Rice paper is a little bit harder to tear, so you just want to be careful and not tear your image, and wetting it helps make that process a lot easier. Next, I just take some of that muslin fabric and I lay my little seed packet over it, and that helps me know where to cut. And I do just nip it and then I tear the rest. I do like the way the torn looks better than just the cut. And the muslin fabric tears really easily. And we need a front and a back, so I just line those 2 pieces of fabric up, making sure I get them both about the same size. Once that's done, we're ready to grab our Mod Podge and coat the back of our image with Mod Podge. You want to do a good even coat and apply a generous amount, especially with it going onto fabric. You want to apply a little bit more than you would usually apply. And just make sure you get it all the way to those edges where all of your paper will adhere to your fabric. You could also use fabric Mod Podge if you would like, but I find that using the regular Mod Podge works just as well. And just spread that out evenly onto your fabric. And I like to take a piece of saran wrap, or this is just a little baggie that I had in my craft room, and that helps spread that out onto the fabric as well, helping get out any wrinkles or creases. And I have several of these that I'm doing, and some of them are smaller than the others, so you just want to line your image over your fabric just to know what size you need your fabric. And I think they're cute to have different sizes like that. For the end of the project, you will see how they all look together. They're super cute. And these are all so cute. You can also find these little seed packet images from Etsy. And I just love these because they look so vintage. They have that vintage look about them. And I'm just showing you all the different ones here that I have cut out and ready to go on the fabric pieces. And I even like the fabric to be a little bit bigger than the seed packet image itself, so there will be a little border of the fabric going around them. And then I just like to take my heat tool to give those a dry and kind of help that Mod Podge set, and also will help ink set your images, as well as help smooth any wrinkles or creases you may have going on under your paper. And now you just want to take that back section of the fabric that you cut out to go with each front section and line them up. And these are no-sew. Y'all know how I love my no-sew projects. And just take that hot glue gun and put a strip. It doesn't really matter where you start on these because they are square and rectangular shapes. So it really doesn't matter. It's just your preference, but just do one side. And I do all the sides except I leave one side open, usually one of the short sides. And I do like to add these little pebbles just for some weight to help these sit up, like in your dough bowl or on your shelf or wherever, your crate, wherever you're going to be displaying these. You can also add dried beans, rice, things like that to just add a little bit of weight to your packet so it's not like a pillow. But this day that I was working on these, I was completely out of dried beans and rice and things like that. So I looked over and saw those pebbles on my shelf and thought I would just use those. And they were perfect to add a little bit of weight to each seed packet. And then I finished stuffing them with the polyfill. And if you don't have polyfill on hand, if you have an old throw pillow or just something you're tired of, you're done with, just cut it open and you can use the stuffing out of an old pillow. And look how cute these are. And once you get enough stuffing in there, just seal up the last side with your hot glue. And you just want to press that glue and make sure it smears everywhere and completely seals your packet. And I did coffee stain my muslin. I forgot to mention that. And I'm just showing you here how I do that. This is just a large bowl that I fill with some black brewed coffee. And you can add a little water in it as well, just as long as it's good and dark to stain your fabric. And I just get my fabric in there and you can kind of see how and I was kind of running low here. I normally have a little more than this in my bowl, but I have been staining fabric, so it was running low. But I'll just take something and mash down to kind of squeeze that coffee all in that fabric and just let it sit and soak for a while. And here I'm just continuing on stuffing these little seed packets. These are one of the little mini ones that I had. I just think these are so cute. I love anything mini, anything little. I think it's so cute. Once I got all the seed packets done, I grabbed this crate. I stenciled Market Fresh flowers on one side, and I was going to decoupage something else in those digital deco design papers on the other side. And you may have even joined me live the week that I made these, because I made a few on the live as well as fixing this crate. But I'm showing you how I did that other side. I love making reversible home decor. I just think it's so easy and convenient to be able to flip your pieces around in your home and be able to display something different and change it up from time to time, especially if you have seasonal on one side and all day decor on the other side. So I just applied that Mod Podge and carefully placed this piece of strawberry paper on it, and I was just centering it up, making sure it was good and even and centered. And then you just want to press that down really well and be sure your Mod Podge goes all over the area that you are decoupaging onto so that it adheres properly and you don't get air bubbles and things underneath your paper. After I applied heat with my heat tool and smoothed that out with my little piece of saran wrap, I took my gator sander and just sanded off the excess paper. And when you do that, you want to go in one direction and not go back and forth, just in case your Mod Podge or glue isn't all the way dry underneath your paper. You will not rip it. So just go in one direction just to be on the safe side and carefully tear that excess paper off. You can also use your sander to lightly distress your piece if you would like as well. And I wanted to add dark wax. I'm using the Sweet Pickins beeswax in the dark over my piece, and I just go over the entire crate, and I also go over that image as well. And I'm just using a blender brush from Temu, but I think these brushes, you can also grab them from Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree. I applied wax to the other side of the crate as well. Now we are ready to fill our crate with our cute seed packets. I had already put in moss and a little bit of greenery and berries in here before we started, as well as added a bow to one side. but I'm just taking those seed packets and nestling them in that moss. And I also took this mini grapevine wreath that I got. I actually think I thrifted this one, but you can find these from Amazon in bundle packs. I also grabbed a little mini bird from my stash. I get these in bundle packs from Amazon, and I'm painting him in the color Ocean in the Sweet Pickins milk paint. I had some mixed up, so I just used what paint I had. I grabbed this little basket that I found. A lady was selling a big box of these little mini baskets, and I purchased them from her. And I filled the basket with some blueberries that I cut off of the blueberry pick that I believe came from Amazon, and just kind of nestled that in the crate as well. And then I was going to stick that little mini bird on the edge of the basket, attaching it with a dab of hot glue, along with some sprigs of greenery. And I also added a little shoestring bow with jute string and just hot glued that to the front of the mini basket. And y'all, look how cute this has turned out. I love it. And then you can flip it to the other side with the little strawberry label. And then I saved that strawberry seed packet for the back side and just nestled it in the center of that grapevine wreath. I just love how this turned out, along with that Jubilee homespun bow in the front. Y'all let me know what you think of this. And here's just a close-up of that seed packet. I just love them so much. And here is another idea, another way I displayed these seed packets. One way was just adding them to a thrifted basket with some greenery and tallow berries. And I also had that another crate that hadn't sold in my booth. It says Eat Organic on the front with that cute pig and Grandma's homemade jam. And I thought I would just freshen it up a bit by adding some of those seed packets in that crate as well. I just love how these turned out. They were so fun to make. Let me know what you think and if you will be trying these, or if you have already. And with the fall and Christmas crafting season coming up, you could just do like pumpkin seeds for your seed packets. And Christmas, I like to make the cute little reindeer feed sacks, and those are super cute in your vignettes. I hope that you are enjoying today's content. If you are and you're not already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will consider before you leave today, hit that notification bell. Be sure you are receiving all notifications. I would love for you to become part of our YouTube family. Okay, let's get back to the DIYs. This project starts out with this cute little milk can. I grabbed this from where one of my booths are located. It was in a neighbor booth and I loved it. I knew I wanted to do a little something to it, but it wouldn't take much to make it super cute. So I had this label in my stash already. It is from an Etsy shop. I will include it in the description of the video, and it comes with other labels. But I just Mod Podged the back of that and placed it onto the milk can. Next, I grabbed some different greeneries that I had on hand. And some of them are purchased from Amazon and some is purchased from a little craft store that's local to me. And I just placed them right inside the can. And of course, we have to add a bow. So I grabbed my bow maker. This one is from homesteadcrafterdiy.com. So head over and grab yours. I love it. It makes beautiful bows and it's really easy to use. I just loop in my Jubilee homespun fabric. I purchased the jelly rolls from their website. You can also find Jubilee fabric from Amazon and Walmart. Once I'm happy with the thickness of my bow, I pull up on that jute string and give it a good tie. I do like to do a double knot as well, just to give it that extra hold and support. I get that hot glued on the milk can. I just put it right on the side. I like to offset my bows usually, and you can just fluff up those loops. And I just love how all of these colors are going together. I embellish with a rusty star, and then I decide I want to add a tag. So I have these little wooden tags, beaded wooden tags. I got them from Hobby Lobby. I took my coffee grunge and I just grunged that piece of wood up. If you're not familiar with coffee grunge, all it is instant coffee, hot water, cinnamon, vanilla, and I also love to add pumpkin pie spice to mine and just store it in the fridge between uses. After that's good and dry, I grab my cowhead stamp. I got this from Temu along with some other little stamps and my ink pad, and just ink that stamp up, and I stamped it right into the center of that wood round. And I add a dab of hot glue right in that bow, and I'll just nestle that little jute part of that beaded tag right in the midst of that, and then just lay those loops of the bow over that and just kind of hide it and tuck it in there. And I just love the look that added. And that's that for this project. A super quick upcycle. I just loved how this turned out. So when you see those cute milk cans, grab them, and it doesn't take much, just a little label and a few embellishments and greenery, and you have the cutest piece of farmhouse decor to add to your home. I found this cute little plant stand at Hobby Lobby. They had this wood color, white and black, and if you will look out for their sales, they'll keep putting them 50% off. I'm starting out with the color Suitcase in the Sweet Pickins Milk Paint. I do want to paint this stool, even though I love the stain color as is, but I'm hoping we'll get some chipping and some of those wood tones will pop through as well. So I get that good and stirred up. If you're not familiar with milk paint, it's equal parts water to your powder. You want to mix it really well and then just paint it on like any other regular paint. After that was good and dry, I grabbed this printable that I purchased from an Etsy shop, and I printed it on my regular inkjet printer on printer paper, and I just lined that over the stool and cut around it, just getting it cut and sized to fit the top of my stool. I thought the color in the print matched the color of the Sweet Pickins milk paint perfectly. I poured Mod Podge on top of that stool and brushed it all in. You want to do a pretty heavy coat of Mod Podge when you're decoupaging with printer paper. I placed that image onto the top of the stool. I got it good and centered. I wanted to make sure the chickens and the welcome was centered on there, and just rub it in place. You want to get out any wrinkles or creases that try to form. And then I also like to take a little baggie or a piece of saran wrap and carefully rub over as well, and that helps with creases also. After I dried it with my heat tool, I do like to add that heat. That helps to smooth out wrinkles, get that Mod Podge to adhere, and then to also speed up the drying process, I grabbed some sanding paper and sanded the excess paper all around the stool. And you want to try to go in the same motion, in a downward motion, when you're sanding your excess paper, just so that you don't accidentally rip your paper if it's not quite dry. Then I take my Sweet Pickins beeswax in the dark, and to start with, I just go around the outside edge of the stool, kind of highlighting and creating contrast around that edge. And then I blend it lightly all on the front of the paper as well. And that just kind of blends everything in, and then you can see some chipping effect we got on the stool. I love this. And here is the finished product, all staged up. This would be super cute to put a little plant on it or some other decor pieces and kind of use it as a riser. The possibilities are endless of the ways that you could include this in your farmhouse decor. And I love that print. It's one of my favorites, and I will include that link in the description of the video. You may remember this piece from a live that we did over on Facebook. So after this side was all completed, I had to do something to the other side. Y'all know how I love my reversible decor. So I grabbed this stencil from my stash, Home is Where the Hurt Is, my chalk paint in the color Sawmill Gravy, and my Essential stencil brush. I love these stencil brushes, by the way. And you want to use very little paint when you stencil. So I'll dab some paint on my brush, and then I will dab off or offload onto my paper. And I like to use the dabbing technique, or sometimes I'll go back and forth, and sometimes I'll go in a swirl. It just all depends on the size of the lettering that I'm stenciling on. After I stenciled on 2 coats, I grabbed my heat tool and gave that a quick dry. And it's time for the reveal. all done, and I take a small paintbrush and I'll fill in the bridges, and all that is the gaps in your lettering where the stencil was made and connected together. And this part is also optional. Sometimes I'll fill in my bridges and sometimes I leave them, just all according of the look that I want for that project. After the bridges were filled in, I grabbed my gator sander and just gave everything a light sanding. I even went over the stenciling part just so the lettering didn't look so thick on the cutting board, and that also gave it just more of a worn vintage look, distressed look as well. And we are going to add a bow for this side, so I grabbed my bow maker. This bow maker is from homesteadcrafterdiy.com. So head over and grab yours. I just loop in my fabric. I'm using Jubilee homespun fabric. I order the jelly rolls from their website, and I will just tear those into strips for my bows, and you can just layer in and make it as big or as small as you would like. And I also use different patterned fabric as well in each bow. And I hot glued that right at the base of that cutting board handle. And I tied a piece of jute string into a shoestring bow and embellished the center of it. Then I took my Dixie Belle Best Dang Wax in the white and covered the entire cutting board. This is sealing in our paint as well as giving this a beautiful white hue. And that completes this cutting board project. So we have this side that we just completed. And here it is all staged up. I just love this Home is Where the Hurt Is stencil. And I love the fact that this piece is reversible, so it can be changed out. One side is a little more fall with the sunflowers, although you could use it all year, especially for sunflower lovers. And then when you want a little change, just flip it over to this side. And it was super cute staged up with the milk can we made as well, because the colors matched and went together perfectly, as well as the label and the tag on the milk can. So I love how those two paired together. Y'all let me know what you think. Okay, friends, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope that you liked today's projects. Don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know what you think of these upcycled pieces. Some were thrifted, some were found at Hobby Lobby on sales and just shopping around, finding different treasures, and also the beautiful things that you can make with muslin fabric. The possibilities are endless. I hope you all have a blessed rest of your week. Don't forget, you can find me over on Facebook as well and enjoy even more content where I go live over there, usually 2 and sometimes 3 times a week. I would love to see you over there for more crafting and chatting. And lastly, I am a retailer for the Sweet Pickins Milk Paint. You can contact me over through my Facebook business page. All you have to do is send me a message to place your order, and I have the paint charts pinned to the top of my page. Thank you all so much for being here and all of your support, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now, friends.